Some things seem impossible until you achieve them, isn't it? I was in the corporate world for over 15 years, and the truth is that I never earned what I really wanted. Are you familiar with this? Yes, I earned a decent salary, which I definitely appreciate, but it kept me going at that time. But it wasn't what I really wanted to earn. I wasn't excited. I was satisfied but not excited because I couldn't do certain things. Basically, I was stuck. So I really want you to reflect as we go through this session today. Are you excited about what you earn right now? Not satisfied, but actually excited because you can really now do the things that you really wanted. Why do you think you aren't able to earn what you truly desire? Have you ever thought about that? Maybe you think it's the economy. Maybe you think it's your skill level, the strategies that you're using, the industry you are in, maybe the people that you've hired, maybe the people that you're surrounded by, or maybe the problem is your company, or is it your personal circumstances? We always tend to look at the external. As I mentioned earlier, I was in the corporate world for over 15 years, and I never earned what I really wanted. Guess what? Despite having an MBA, despite being a top student in school. So, in addition to that, not only that I wasn't earning what I really wanted, but I also wasn't doing what I really wanted to do. I was in positions of customer experience, of marketing, but it wasn't what I really enjoyed doing. I always wanted to become some kind of a coach since the year 2014. But here's the thing, I wanted to be associated with a globally renowned individual or a company, a very reputable firm or organization. I didn't want to become just any kind of a coach. Now, having seen my circumstances, where my parents hardly managed to get me to university, and considering that I wasn't earning what I really, really wanted, I was just getting by, as I mentioned earlier, that seemed to be a very far off possibility. So I just did what everyone else does. I just forgot about what I truly wanted to do because circumstances didn't allow it. And I continued working in the corporate world. Now, does this sound familiar to you? I really want you to reflect and see if this resonates with your situation. Are you really doing what it is that you want to do in your life? And are you really earning what it is that you want to earn in your life? Or have you just forgotten about it and pushed it under the carpet because your circumstances does not allow it? And for me, things only got worse because I was pushing to do something I didn't want. And on top of that, I wasn't earning what I really wanted. So it went both ways. I wasn't happy with what I was doing, nor was I happy with what I was earning. So can you relate that you're working and pushing hard, but you're never really earning what it is that you want? Now I carried on like this until the year 2021, until I literally bumped into a man called Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is my mentor, and I just came across him on social media. It was just for me, it sounded like a coincidence. So Bob told me that I could do anything I wanted. Now, do you think I believed when he told me that I could do anything I wanted? Absolutely not. I kind of smirked at the idea, but I just kept listening to him. He then went on to explain to me what was really getting in the way of my progress. And this is exactly what I want to show you today. So I'm just going to share my screen. If you can just give me a minute, and I'm just going to talk to you about the concept that he shared with me. So today we can understand what's really going on in our lives. All right. Now, if you can look at the screen that I'm sharing here, there's a certain diagram that has just come up on my screen. And this is what he went on to explain to me. He says, Shalini, look, you first got to understand who you are and how you operate. So this is what he went on to explain to me. So if you look at this diagram, right, this is how we all operate. So this is a concept that's globally applicable to all individuals. It has nothing to do with your race, your background, your country, your position. Absolutely not. This is what applies to all individuals, regardless of where you come from, because this is how we all operate. This is the basis of how we are all designed. So if you look at the diagram, the top circle represents, so there's a top circle and a bottom circle. So the bottom circle, as you can see, represents your body. The upper circle, which is a bigger one, represents your mind. So the top semicircle represents your intellectual mind. Now, I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that your intellectual mind is that part of the mind that first takes in information through your environment. And it does this through your five senses. All right. So your intellectual mind is constantly engaged in information from your environment through different sources. So I've given a few examples here. There's information, there's people we interact with, there's social media, then we have all this education. So we have a lot of training, we have a lot of degrees, right? There's information being thrown to us from all angles in our life. And the news is the biggest one, which we all like keep listening to, right? Now, what I want you to understand is that your intellectual mind has the capacity to either reject or accept ideas. But we all usually have a habit of just accepting anything that comes in through from our environment. Now, another thing I want you to understand is this, that your intellectual mind is also known as your conscious mind. And your conscious mind, unfortunately, only gives you 5% of the outcomes in your life through all the information that you are absorbing from your environment. And this is when it really landed for me. This is what made me realize that I was studying all this time. I had an MBA, I was an A student in school all along, but I was never really earning what I wanted. Why? Because my intellectual mind only had a 5% capacity to contribute to my results. So I went ahead to ask Bob that what then really determines what I'm earning right now or how far I can progress or go in my life. And then he went on to explain to me that he said, Shalini, look, the lower part of the circle, which is the lower semicircle, represents your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is that part of the mind that can only accept ideas. It cannot reject ideas. Now, as we currently operate, our subconscious mind, with repetition and with emotional involvement, absorbs ideas through our intellectual mind. All right. But when we were children, our intellectual mind or or our conscious minds were not developed. So what happened? Our subconscious minds were completely exposed to the environment. It was open like a big bucket. So any idea that came in through to you and from in your environment went directly into your subconscious mind. And this forms something we all now have called a paradigm. So I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that your paradigm gives you 95% of all the outcomes in your life. And this is when I began to understand what was really going on with me. Because despite all the degrees, despite all the education, despite all the experience, I was just never able to go beyond a certain position in my life, right? And this is when it started to make sense. So he went on to explain to me that your paradigm is a multitude of fixed ideas that you have in your mind that were formed in your childhood based on the environment that you grew up in, and they're still impacting your results as an adult. So these are concepts that were formed in you from a younger age that are still impacting you in your adult life. And this is when I tried to understand that what exactly was happening. Sorry about that, guys. So this is when went on to understand what exactly had happened in my life, because he told me that, Shalini, your paradigm is formed based on the assumptions and the behaviors that people portrayed around you. So I went on to reflect and I asked myself that what was happening in my life as a childhood, in my childhood as a child. So I went on to recall that when I was about the age of 8 years old, my father lost his business in a fire, which he could never really revive. So I saw him working in a supermarket for 12 hours a day for 8 days for 7 days in a week. So I grew up thinking that I have to work hard to earn very little money. So that was where my paradigm was formed. Also, when I talk about speaking in front of people, so generally, the environment in which I grew up, we would not speak up, we would not take part in debates, we would not do all these activities. And that actually hindered me from being able to express myself in public. So when I grew up, I was not able to take part in debates. I was not able to make friends easily. So there are a lot of things that happen, right? And I'm not saying that, my childhood was all the worst. No, everybody in my environment did the best that they could to the best of their ability. But I'm just trying to explain to you the concept that took place in my life that actually impacted what happened in my adulthood. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that tomorrow as well. Now, you might have heard about people who fear water, who cannot swim. Why? Because when they were children, they were probably told that please don't go next to that water. You might fall and you might drown. You might get hurt. So there are adults who still cannot do certain things simply because these ideas were drilled into them and this formed their paradigm. All right. So I want you to understand a few things about your paradigm, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, Your paradigm drives your life on autopilot. Now, what do I mean by that? You are doing things without your conscious awareness that you're actually doing them, because your paradigm is the one that controls your behavior, and your behavior controls your outcome. All right. So, your paradigm is like an autopilot system inside you. Now, I want you to visualize a plane that's been scheduled to fly from Nairobi to London. So, what the system does, the autopilot system sets it on a fixed route. All right. So, the plane flies on the specific route from Nairobi to London. Now, what happens when the plane goes off course? The autopilot system brings it back on route, which is great because in such a case, you don't want to have any mishaps. You want to avoid any accidents. But this is the same way your paradigm operates in your mind. Now, what it does, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you try to go off course, meaning when you try to introduce a new idea into your system, it brings it back on route. Meaning, it does not allow you, it causes discomfort, it causes fear, it gives you all the excuses why you should not do something. So it brings you back on course and it wants you to stay on the same level that you've been at it for many years in your life. And this is exactly what was happening to my income level. Anytime I try to push it up, it would bring reasons for me to get back on level and keep earning what it is that I was earning. So it won't let you do anything that's different in your life. And you might notice that even if you try to earn more, you might end up in a situation where you self-sabotage without your conscious awareness, or a situation or an external circumstances pans out in such a way that it doesn't support your new idea. It doesn't support your new results or outcomes. So this is what your paradigm does. It keeps you comfortable and it creates circumstances outside of you that doesn't let you continue with things. So that has happened to a lot of people that I work with, right? So I had a certain lady who was working with me about 3 years ago. Now, when she came onto my process, after about 2 months, she decided to abandon the process because her paradigm hit so hard. When she tried to level up, it hit so hard and she decided to stay on course as per her current paradigm. So nothing really changed in her life. All right. So this is what your paradigm does to you whenever you're trying to do something that's beyond your current reality. So it's like a speed governor or a thermostat in your system. So in this case, I want you to understand that your current income is a direct reflection of your paradigm. So for how many years have you been stagnant? For how many years have you been working so hard but not really been able to earn what it is that you want? So this is something you really must reflect upon. And the only cause of this is simply your paradigm. But the great news is that you can actually change it. And as we go along, I'm going to tell you how to do that. All right. So my clients have worked on their paradigms and still are. So what they basically do is they start taking control and they start directing their paradigm towards their goals. And this is how you start working on a paradigm shift. So you first have to understand what it is that you really want, how much it is that is you really want to earn. Now, another thing that your paradigm does, ladies and gentlemen, is that it sabotages any strategy in your business. This is exactly what it does. All right. So, because your paradigm is actually controlling 95% of your outcomes. When you try to execute a new strategy in your business, if your paradigm, this is a strategy and this is where your paradigm lies. If your paradigm is not aligned with the strategy, it will sabotage your strategy execution. So you might notice, especially when we talk about salespeople in a company. Now, I don't think there's any company that treats any sales team unfairly in terms of differing the kind of training they give an entire team. All salespeople are given the same kind of training, isn't it? So what happens? Why is it that not all salespeople are able to perform on the same level? They all perform at different levels. Why do you think that happens? This is because of their paradigm. Because each person in the sales team has a different paradigm. So because your paradigm has a 95% impact on all your results, even if you're given the same amount of training as a salesperson, the numbers differ simply because of your paradigm. All right. So your paradigm actually sabotages strategy execution unless until you align your paradigm with it. And also, I just want to mention that I have worked with people who have been able to triple their sales without any change in strategy, without changing location, without changing product, without changing anything externally. What did they do? When they started working with me, they start simply align their paradigm and the results started showing up. So this is the power of your paradigm, ladies and gentlemen. So as I say, the assumptions and the behaviors of the people that you saw around you in your childhood, in the environment that you are brought up in, have shaped your paradigm. So your paradigm holds you to earning what you've been earning for many years in your business or career. And sometimes what happens is that your business just doesn't take off at all, or you just can't get started, right? So there are many blocks that you experience because of your paradigm. But the great news is that now you know this concept, and the fact is that you can actually change it. All right. So most of us tend to go for what we already know how to achieve or what we think we can achieve. Now, the question that I'd like to pose to you today is, have you gone for something you really want, but you have no idea how to get it? You know, we have a lot of voices, a lot of circumstances, a lot of factors that play a part in what we really choose to do in our lives, right? Now, most of us have experienced where we want to move out of one profession and move into something completely different. But we hear voices around us telling us things like, but can you really do this? Is this something you really want to do? Aren't you so good at accounts? Why would you want to become a baker, for instance? I mean, because these people have formed an image of you, so they will never support your goals. And also because they care about you, they don't want you to get disappointed. So you hear them saying things like, but if you do this, are you going to earn enough amount of money? Are you going to be able to prosper in this career? Is this really going to serve you for the long term? Right? So what we tend to do is we tend to push these things under the carpet. So we tend to choose something that we know how to get or something we can find a way to get. All right. So we fall in those two categories. Now, how many of you have really gone for something that you actually really wanted, that is actually something that scares you and excites you at the same time, but you have no idea and you're able to ignore the voices around you or the circumstances, right? So, as I mentioned, I wanted to become a coach with a globally renowned and extremely inspiring organizational personality. Now, here's the thing, I had no idea how I was going to do it because my business opportunity needed a $30,000 investment. And as I said, I was not able to. I was not able to invest that kind of money in this business, in my coaching business, simply because I had a lot of inconsistency when it came to my corporate career. So apparently I was fired. So I worked in the corporate world for about 15 years across 7 to 8 different companies, out of which three I was fired from. And I actually left the others at my own wish because there were things that were not working for me. And I felt that I couldn't really last in those companies. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. Right now, what happened is that because my income had not been consistent over the years, because I had left many jobs in between, I didn't have the money to invest in this consulting practice. Now, the first thing that Bob said to me was, the first thing you've got to do is be very honest with yourself about what it is that you want before you can even have it or think about how it's going to come into your life. Because most people can't be, because we are mostly hidden behind a veil of our circumstances, like the economy, the country we live in, our family and financial situations, right? So he challenged me and I wrote it down and I said that I am a Procter Gallagher consultant. And guess what? Within 9 months, I had it without having the money. Now, this is not magic. This is not something that only I can do and you cannot do. You can also have whatever it is that you desire in your life. So I became a certified consultant with Bob Proctor's institution without having the money. Now that sounds very miraculous, isn't it? No, it was not a miracle. It was simply me moving, aligning my paradigm to what it is that I wanted, what I was talking about previously. Now, this was a dream for me. I didn't have the money. Nobody in the entire East Africa has a certification from him. So I never thought it could work for me. So I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would have the privilege of being a part of his community and being associated with him. But I did exactly as he said, and it happened. The truth is, it can happen for you too. And this is why I'm here today. So I'd really like you to note down, what is it that came up for you in terms of what you really want to do when you are hearing this conversation? How much do you really want to earn as you are listening to all of this? Because with this, we shall now formulate something called a goal statement. All right. Now, I want you to really introspect And you can always pause this video if you need some more time to introspect in on what it is that you really want to do and how much it is that you really want to earn. Remember, not something you know how to do or something you can find a way to do. Something that really excites you and scares you at the same time, and you have no idea, and it's something you really, really, really wanted for a long time, but you've been pushing it under the carpet because of the voices around you and because of your external circumstances. All right. So it's very important before you go along with me to formulate this goal statement, you must understand what it is that you really want and how much it is that you really want to earn. So this is how you're going to write your goal statement, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is what I wrote down. This is the format in which I wrote down. So this is not my goal statement, but I'm giving you an example of how to write yours so that you can achieve what it is that you want. So this is how it goes. I feel so blessed to receive. Now, how much money would you like to earn? So you put the amount. So I'm giving you an example of $100,000. All right. I feel so blessed to receive $100,000 in net income every month, easily and consistently. I am healthy, wealthy, happy. It is done, right? So I'm going to repeat it once again. I feel so blessed to receive $100,000 in net income every month, easily and consistently. I am healthy, wealthy, happy. It is done. Now, the one thing that I really learned when I was studying with Bob, and I mean, I still do study with him, is that you should never forget about your health, your wealth, and your happiness. And that's why we always say, I'm healthy, wealthy, happy, because none of it is something that you like to compromise when you start, when you work towards earning what it is that you really want. You want a prosperous life. You want a life that has balance all around it, isn't it? Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is money. If you want to multiply your monthly income, or you want to earn or sell more in your business, you've got to understand money. This is a very, very important topic because it's interesting how people don't generally want to admit that they would like to earn more money, you know, but they don't want to talk about money. They want to earn more money, but they don't want to talk about money. Yet it's the very basic necessity that you need in order to live the life that you want. So as we go along, I just want you to put down three words that first come to your mind when you think about the amount of money that you currently have in your life. How do you feel about the money that you have in your life right now? Is it not enough? Do you feel like you're always paying bills? Are you anxious? Are you worried? Or are you satisfied? Are you content? Are you happy? Are you excited? How do you feel about the amount of money that you currently have in your life? So this is simply a reflection of how you feel about money in general. All right. Whatever it is that came up for you, just put down even one word, two words, three words, whatever comes to mind when you think of money. The truth is that whatever came up for you in the first instant is the truth, is the reflection of how you feel about money. This is the truth you hold about your money, right? And money in general. And this truth is not going to change after you earn what it is that you want. It will only bring more of these feelings to the surface. So, whatever you feel about money right now is not going to change even if you earn more of it. Because whatever it is that you feel about your money that you have right now is the general feeling you hold about money. And you may not be aware of this. So if you are anxious about money now, you'll always be anxious about money, even if you achieve your income goal, because you'll always be aiming to keep earning more, isn't it? Your goals never stop. So wanting more is the way to go. But how do you really feel about the money that you currently have? This is what you need to introspect about with yourself. Today, we are here to change how we feel about money because this has a direct impact on how much you can earn. I want you to understand that money operates exactly the way humans do. Now, let me ask you, you like being around people who are comfortable, confident, and at ease, isn't it? Like, do you like being around people who are uneasy, anxious, angry? I don't think so. You like being around people who emanate energy that's shows comfort, that shows that they're confident, that shows you that they're always at ease. You're attracted to such people, isn't it? So it's more fun and easier to be around people who just seem to be flowing and enjoying life rather than those who always uptight and take life too seriously. I'm sure you agree with me, isn't it? Now money feels the same way. Money goes away from those who chase it and are anxious about it. So that's how it works. So I'm going to speak to you about a few things that define your money identity. All right. Now, the first one is the way you make decisions around money. So I'm going to list them down and then we'll go into each and every part of it in a bit more detail. So the first thing is the way you make decisions around your money. Now, the identity that you hold around money is determined by some of the things that I'm going to talk about. So the first one, as I said, is the way you make decisions around money. And then the way you circulate money. The third one is the way you judge people who are doing better or are richer than you. And the fourth one is the way you view the money that you currently have. So let's start with making decisions around money. Now, most of us unfortunately make money decisions based on fear, especially when we are about to spend on something that we consider big, right? Like instead of focusing on the return that it will bring us, we tend to focus on the amount we are spending rather than the expected return. Now, just really introspect with yourself again. This is going to be a very reflective 2 days for us because we're really going to understand, how do we behave with money? How do we make decisions around money? When we are about to invest in something that we consider big, are we coming from a place of fear? Is it that we are not focusing on the return, but we are just focusing on how much we are spending? So the truth is that money comes easily to those who spend it with confidence, knowing that they will make more. Now, I want you to take an example of a glass of water. Like I have my mug cup here, right? Now, when you have a glass full of water next to you and you drink it up, let's say I decide to drink this mug cup up completely. Now, am I ever worried about the fact that it won't fill up again, that I'm not going to have another glass of water? Absolutely not, right? I'm never worried. But that's not how most people feel about their bank accounts. They operate with fear that it may run out. And that's exactly what happens because that's the energy that you're sending out, right? When you make any expenditure, any investment with the thought that, oh, what if my bank account runs up? You're coming from a place of fear. Then that's the energy you're sending out, and that's exactly what will happen. Your bank account will not fill up automatically simply because the energy that you sent out while you are trying to spend that money or invest it. Now, I just want you to know that I invested in myself recently and I made an immediate decision to make an immediate payment because of the outcomes I knew it would give me, because it was an investment to me. And guess what? When I made that decision from a place of confidence, I made 3 times that amount the very next month. Now, this is not a coincidence. This is not a miracle or magic. It's simply the law. It's the energy that you send out, as I said, when you make a decision around investing your money that will determine whether you'll get more in return or whether your bank account will start becoming empty or it won't generate a return. Whenever you make an investment with fear, it is most likely not to generate you the returns that you want. Either it won't generate any returns or it won't generate you the amount that you expected. All right. So when money fills the confidence in you, more of it comes to you with ease. So ask yourself, is your identity around money fear-based? This is the question you need to ask yourself today. The second point around your money identity was the way we circulate money. Money must be circulated. It requires an inward and outward movement to keep flowing. So if you are somebody who's trying to hoard money, I'd like you to know that you're blocking more money from coming into your life. All right. Now, when most of us lose money in some way or the other, we start panicking because we constantly focus on the loss. You know, now, what do you think this is going to do? It's only going to attract more losses to you because that's the energy that you're sending out. I want you to understand something called the law of rhythm. Now, everything has an upward and downward trend in life, right? So what must go down must come up and vice versa. So when you lose money, you must understand that it's creating space for more to come. When you operate from that space, the gap will be filled faster than you can imagine. And I want you to understand that money is a byproduct. It automatically flows when we use our gifts and talents and enjoy what we do and show up authentically. All right. Now, the mistake that most of us do is that we go to work to earn money. and we've got it wrong. We need to start going to work for satisfaction. And I've mentioned this in many of my previous posts and many of my previous videos, because what happens is that when we constantly keep our focus on earning the money, we tend not to give our best, and the law starts kicking into effect, and we'll never earn what it is that we want because we're being greedy towards money. Now, think about it this way. Do you like people who stalk you, who constantly follow you, or who constantly feel anxious about you? Or when you don't contact them, they start calling you and saying, "Why didn't you call me? I've been waiting for your call for such a long time." You don't like to be around such people, do you? And money exactly behaves the same way. It hates people who chase it, who follow it. And that is why it's very important that we enjoy what it is that we do. Because when we do that, we're doing ourselves a favor and it attracts money to us. And as I say, money is a byproduct of your talents, your abilities, of what it is that you do. All right. So that's why I keep emphasizing on the fact that ask yourself what it is that you really like to do as opposed to what you think you should be doing, because we are a product of our environment, of the voices around us, as or because of our circumstances we don't go into doing what it is that we really want to do. So we are stuck at what it is that we should do rather than what it is that we really want to do. And guess what, this is why a lot of you may be feeling stuck, because you're not really enjoying, you're not going to work for satisfaction. You're just doing the work because you want to earn money, and the more you chase it, the more it runs away from you. So let's really reflect. Do we really enjoy what it is that we are doing? Are we showing up as our authentic self? Or are we trying to be somebody who we aren't, and are we doing something we don't enjoy doing? Then that is where your money results may be lacking. All right. Now, the third point of around money identity is the way we judge people who are richer than us. So really ask yourself, how do you look at people who own a lot of physical items and like enjoying life's luxuries? How do you perceive them? Such people are perceived as being material, right? When somebody has something we don't have, and we feel like they're at a really much higher level, we perceive them as being material. So we always hear ourselves saying things like, these people are so material, isn't it? You might have heard yourself discussing it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, that isn't this person so material? Especially about, we talk about celebrities like that a lot, that this person is very material. But the truth is that we are all material. The only difference is the levels of the material that we are compared to them. So we are all at different levels of material from each other. But we all own things like laptops, cars, homes, clothes, phones, furniture, and many other items in our lives, right? Now, just because somebody owns a car that you've never owned and you feel like it's way above the line for you, like a Ferrari, maybe a Lamborghini, depends on your perception, or certain types of jewelry, we state that they're material, but we all are material. So our judgment of others is simply made from a lack mindset. It comes from a lack mindset. So your paradigm is simply trying to convince you that you can't earn or be as abundant as they are. So it creates a separation between you and money through judgment. All right. The truth is that you can be just like them. It's just that you've got to shift your paradigm to the level at which you want to be. All right. Now, the fourth point around money identity is the way you view the money that you currently have. So today, I'd like you to take an inventory of everything that you possess. How much do you think it all is worth, right? All the items that you own in your house, in your business, wherever it is, all the investments you've made, how much do you think all that is worth? So you see, you keep forgetting the amount of money that you've actually spent on all these items and the value of all these items that you're in possession of, because your mind is giving you bigger goals constantly. The mind's work is to keep moving you to the next thing, right? So it keeps you so focused on what you're not earning and why things are not working for you, rather than everything that you already earn, and everything that already holds a lot of value for in your life, right? How valuable is everything that you already have in your life? Now, isn't that magical? Because you're already so rich, right? So really reflect. How would your life be if you didn't have all or some of the things that you currently possess? Now, when you feel a deep sense of gratitude for what you already have, money loves this energy and you'll be able to draw more of it to you. So I really want you to reflect, right? That what kind of identity around money do you hold? Because this identity is directly reflected in your income, in your career, in your business and life. And more importantly, would you like to change your income, your life and business? Are you committed to doing so? All right. Now, I also want to mention a few more things around money. You must strive to do more for yourself because you can only do more for others once you have achieved what it is that you want. Because remember, you can't serve from an empty or a half-filled cup. Now, how much you currently earn is a direct reflection of your paradigm. Remember the diagram that I showed you earlier, right? So let's go a bit deeper. What does that really mean? Now, I want you to reflect. Remember, I said that your paradigm is formed from the ideas that you absorbed in your childhood. So I really want you to reflect, and this is an exercise that Bob took me through because it was very, very reflective and very eye-opening for me. So, what kind of childhood did you have? What kind of background do you come from? Why do I ask that? Because your childhood experiences have shaped your paradigm, right? And of course, this happened without your knowledge, without your awareness. And this is what's getting in the way of you earning more. Remember the assumptions and behavior of the people that I mentioned. So I'm going to mention some statements and you can reflect if they resonate with you. All right. So some of the statements is some of these I picked up as a child without my knowledge, and some I learned along the way. And they kept reflecting in my income, right? Which I mentioned remained stagnant for very many years. So some of the statements are as follows. There are quite a few, so I'm just going to go one by one. The first one is money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. I will lose my family or friends if I become rich. We can't afford that. I don't deserve to have more or be wealthy. Living a rich life is not important. Money doesn't make me happy, or money doesn't make you happy. I must work hard in order to live a rich and abundant life. This was absolutely me, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that. Being rich will change me. Clients can't afford my products. I can never see how I can become as rich as the wealthy people around me. Sometimes we feel like we can never become like the people around us, right? Or we can only go up to a certain level based on our circumstances. So we place limits on ourselves. Then clients don't have the money to pay for my products or services. There is hardly any demand for my products. The economy is facing a downturn. Now, this is a common one, right? And times are tough. So, do you feel that some or all of these are either true or you happen to be in an environment where you hear them often? But I want you to understand that it's not your fault. It's not you who's thinking this. It's your paradigm that's leading you to thinking so. Now, unfortunately, these ideas were drilled into you through repetition and watching others behave with money in a certain way. Now, it's the same way that these ideas can be changed by drilling them into your mind through repetition. So by accepting these ideas, some of the things that I talked about and many more, because I can't mention all of them on this call, by accepting these ideas, you formed a certain money identity, which in turn leads you to only earning a certain amount. So I spoke about the 4 factors that form your money identity. So they come from these ideas. So I'll give you an example of mine. As I said, right, that I saw my dad working for 7 days a week for 12 hours a day. So my identity was clearly formed as I have to work hard in order to earn a lot of money. I thought I have to put in a lot of hours. I have to be exhausted because I never saw him resting, right? And in our family, we always heard things like times are tough, the economy is facing a downturn. So naturally, I kept thinking that the economy is always bad and it's never working in your favor, right? Now, another identity that I formed as a child was that I could never own my own business simply because after my dad lost his business in a fire, it came out very clearly to us that if you open your business, you're very open to risk and it might be difficult for you to survive, especially because the times are even tough, right? As I said. So there was a combination of beliefs that form my identity. around money. So I felt that I could only earn money through a fixed corporate job, where my salary would be coming into my bank account on a monthly basis. So I never even thought that I could ever run my own business. And it's only after I met Bob, my idea started switching when I worked on myself, when I underwent through his paradigm shift process, and then I leaped into my business, right? And because of all these old beliefs that I held, that I could never open my own business, and also because I felt that to earn more money in my corporate career, I had to give in more hours, it led me to self-sabotaging and not getting promotions because I'm a person who really values my well-being and rest. So I thought that if I want to climb the corporate career, I have to put in more hours, meaning I can't rest and I can't have time for myself. So I would not accept certain promotions and positions. And that sabotaged my career growth. So can you see how your identity leads you to not stepping into certain roles, doing certain things? In line with that, as a reflection of that, you'll not be earning certain amounts of money. So because of my fears, my beliefs around that I have to work hard in order to earn money, I hit an income ceiling. So this is what could be happening to you in your career or business. So as I said earlier, I want you to really reflect as we bring this session to an end. What kind of ideas have you been working with, right? What kind of money identity have you internalized in your life? These ideas are directly reflected in your income, in your career, your business, your life, and more importantly, if you if you see the connection between your income, life, career, and the ideas that you hold, right? So you are at the level where you're thinking about these things right now, the identity that you hold, the ideas that you have in your paradigm. If you want to level up, you've got to level up and change these ideas, right? So the question that you really need to reflect upon is, are you serious about changing your income, your life, your business? How committed are you in doing so? And we will see you here tomorrow. Stay tuned in because I will be back at the same time at 1 p.m. Kenya time to tell you how you can get closer to achieve the goal statement that you initially wrote, how to achieve what it is that you truly desire in your life to earn. See you all tomorrow.